In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit the dandelion stitch. Begin by casting on stitches in multiples of 8 plus 1. So I will be casting on 16 stitches plus 1. For the first row, you will be knitting all of the stitches. I will be knitting this sample flat, which means I'll go back and forth knitting and purling. But if you are knitting in the round, every time you see me purling, you should be knitting. So here's the first row. And on the second row, I will be purling, but if you're in the round, you will be knitting, and we will continue this back and forth until we have 4 rows of stockinette. Once you have 4 rows, you will begin the dandelion stitch row. Begin by knitting 3 stitches, or knitting to 2 stitches before the dandelion stitch. On that second stitch, you're gonna count down 3 rows, and on the third row, you will insert your needle through that stitch. Catch a loop as if to knit and pull it through that stitch. Leave it on your needle and then knit the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to repeat all of that on the exact same stitch as before. Pull your needle through, pick up a loop, and then knit 2 more stitches. One third time, we're going to insert the needle through the exact same stitch. This one's the hardest one. Pick up another loop carefully and bring it through the same stitch. You can start to see how the dandelion stitch is forming. We'll continue knitting. In this case, we'll knit 4 stitches, or you would knit to 2 stitches before your next dandelion. And we will repeat all of the same steps. Count 2 stitches and then 3 rows down and insert your needle through that third stitch. Wrap a loop and bring it through that stitch. Knit 2, and once again insert through that same loop. Bring out another loop. Knit 2 more, and the third time insert your needle through that same stitch. Bring out a loop, and that's your dandelion stitch. Then you will knit either to your next dandelion stitch or to the end of the row. Since the next row is the wrong side, I will be purling, but if you're in the round, you will be knitting. And I'm going to purl until I get to that dandelion loop that I pulled last. And I'm gonna purl that dandelion loop with the following stitch, basically purl 2 together. Then purl the next stitch and repeat. Purl 2 together, purl that loop with the next stitch, and purl 1. And then purl the last loop and the next stitch together. If you're knitting in the round, you would be knitting instead of purling. Then we're going to purl to your next dandelion stitch and then do the same thing. Purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 1, and purl 2 together. And then purl to the end or to the next stitch. And those are the basics of the dandelion stitch. You can already see how it's formed there. And we are going to keep knitting in stockinette. You should make sure that there's always at least 4 rows in between every time you're going to create the dandelion, because you need those 3 rows below in order to knit it. Now that we've knit 4 rows, we are going to do another dandelion stitch row, but this time it will be off center. So I'm going to start by knitting 7 stitches, just so that it will be offset with the dandelion stitch below. So knitting to 2 stitches before the next dandelion stitch. Then on that second stitch, I'm gonna count down 3 rows, and on the third row, bring the needle in and bring out a loop, and just repeat the same dandelion stitch as we've done before. Knit 2, and on the same stitch, bring out another loop and knit 2. Bring out a third loop through the same stitch. The third loop is always a bit of the hardest one. Now I'm gonna knit to the end of the row because my sample is small, but you could continue to knit more dandelions and offset them if you want to. And just like before, I will show you again how I purl to the dandelion stitch to the last loop that I brought through there, and I'll purl it together with the following stitch and then purl 1. Repeat purl the loop with the following stitch, purl 1 and do it one last time, purl together, purl 2 together, and then continue purling until the next stitch or until the end of the row. And that's really it. That's how you knit this simple but beautiful stitch. If you're interested on making something with this stitch, I am working on releasing this pattern, the dandelion top, which is going to be a summer pattern, and it features this lovely stitch. Stay tuned for when I release it. Thanks for watching.